Hello everyone. GM, good morning for everyone that is in Europe, of course. My name is Yuri Bilast. It's again a LinkedIn Live, but also a webinar with three amazing guests, actually. The initiative came from Secrets Vault. Asked me, Yuri, can you organize a webinar, a LinkedIn Live, around the report that they put out? And so, as I said, my name is Yuri Bilast. I am known as the Web3 CMO. I'm a strategist, a podcaster, an advisor to Web3 and AI brands. I'm the host of the Web3 CMO Stories podcast. As you might know, it's ranked quite high, in the top 5%. And I'm also organizing the Sintra Synergist Retreat here in Portugal for Web3 and AI innovators. Today's panel is about something we all care about trust, control, and making self-custody usable for the next billion users. Welcome, everyone. I will go with my guest one by one. Joining us from Kadena is Haf, head of product. And Kadena is known for being a secure and scalable proof of work layer one, and Haf leads the charge on making blockchain more accessible for businesses while keeping decentralization uncompromised. Let me play a bit with the screen too, so that you can see everyone here. Of course, after that, you have some time, of course, to introduce yourself a bit more when we start diving into the conversation, if you want. Next to Haf, we are also joined by Tin, performance lead at Solflare, performance marketing lead, I should say. One of the fastest growing crypto wallets globally, with over 3 million users and I think around $16 billion in assets. And he's passionate about bringing Web3 UX to the mainstream. And then we have Gerard, of course, the founder or co-founder Gerard, because you also have Jordi behind Secrets Vault. And they released a report I will show you in a minute. It's about the future of Web3 wallets, and we are talking a bit about that today, next to other things about the future of wallets. And so Secrets Vault offers a new approach to wallet backup using images. And they're tackling the real fear many users have, like losing access forever. Welcome, everyone. I hope you're doing well today. Let me show you the report on the screen. So this is the report I was talking about. If it works, it's playing a bit with the buttons here. So how wallet users think, why backup simplicity is the next big shift. If you're now watching this webinar, or if you're now watching the replay later today, the report is still available. Leave a comment below with the word report, and we will get back to you. Right. That's all done. Let's now dive into the first questions. Again, welcome everyone. A question for every panelist, and I will start with Haf. The wallet space is maturing fast, as we know. And so what does standing out mean today for you?
I think a good wallet, at least from my perspective, I think standing out should mean that you don't have to be loud. What I mean by that is the wallet can earn trust without users asking for it. So by default, we're protecting users. We have the UX that doesn't confuse people, and there's guardrails that aren't kind of handcuffing everyone. We want, at least for me, I want the future of the industry to go to a point where we're building secure self-custody that feels effortless. I think the issue we're having that a lot of this stuff is considered bare minimum minus self-custody in the Web2 space. But because in Web3, like there's not a lot of prioritization of user experience, that is what people are then shouting about. But at least what I feel like is this should be like the minimum, like this should be like the bare standard that we're aiming for. Another thing as well that I think should make it stand out is as a user, I shouldn't have to care about the infrastructure, to be honest. I shouldn't have to care about what network I'm on. I shouldn't have to worry about gas fees. I shouldn't need to worry about reading a white paper just to like be able to send some money to someone. All of this stuff should happen in the background, and Web3 companies should abstract this away from the users. So I think any wallet that's able to merge like the ease of use people are used to today with the added benefit of self-custody on top, which is what Web3 brings. I think those are the guys that stand out and are going to make it like really far into the future.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Guys, yeah, if I sometimes put on the mute button, that is just, to make the live stream more, the quality in the best way, I would say. Thank you for sharing that, Have. Great to start this panel like that. I also want to hear, Tin's take on that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, what does it mean to stand out in the wallet sphere of the crypto ecosystem? Definitely, like we had a bunch of interviews with users of Solana. We are the Solana first wallet, and while there is of course Phantom, Solflare, Backpack, and some other wallets and so on. So basically, people talk about how they use a certain wallet and why they use a certain wallet. So we ask them like directly and transparently, okay, why do you use a certain wallet? Why don't you use a Solflare? And they were just like, it's my habit to use a certain wallet. I don't need to switch, and I don't see a benefit for me switching to another wallet because everything works inside of this wallet already. So then we started to turn to community. We started to build a community around our Guardians program, Ambassadors program, supporting the OG NFT communities, supporting the local communities, for example, the super team communities of Canada, Nigeria, Turkey, and so on. And then we saw a massive income of users, but also of loyal users with this whole community aspect, and of them basically feeling a part of something or a part of a movement, and supporting Solflare basically through all digital channels and through all channels that are like community driven, for example, Discord and Telegram groups and so on. So basically now we see that community aspect of things is definitely something that separates Solflare from its competitors, and of course that we have to, and we are always trying to deliver the best possible product for our users when it comes to security and speed of transactions and so on. But of course, this community aspect and trying to take care of our users and take care of our community is something that we definitely are trying to put our focus on in 2025. So, for example, now we have like 3 or 4 different features being developed solely because of the input that we got from these communities that we are currently partnering up with. So we definitely want to hear what the actual user is trying to get from a wallet, and then actually build on top of that suggestion. So that would be my definite answer for at least for this year.
Thank you for that, Tin. Yeah, it's a good question actually as an introduction, right? So, Gerard, of course, we also want to know about Secrets Vault and what does standing out mean for you guys today?
Sure. From a wallet point of view, I agree with both of my colleagues. Simplicity in two words, and being able to do almost everything in a wallet, because once I am inside one, I am people are lazy to change, so they prefer to stay and keep doing things and improving things inside the tool that they know. But I will take a different step, because as we are not providing wallets, I'm talking more about what we heard about security on backing up seed phrases or protecting data, right? And this is what, as Tim said, we check with different people, and what they say is, look, I look also for simplicity on this process. I want to be to a very secure but simple way to back up my seed phrase. Writing down 24 words, etc. is not easy. There are a lot of issues. And I think that surprised us a bit, but we discovered is that people also want a simple way to transfer this knowledge or this information to their family or loved ones, because they face a situation where typically, for instance, in my personal case, my wife has zero clue on Web3 or crypto. So sharing all my knowledge and the access, etc., was a super pain in the ass. How to do it simple but secure. So that's what we got. Um, the good thing is that, well, for the people that doesn't know about us, we are two co-founders. My colleague is an expert in cryptography, more than 30 years in advanced cryptography, with patents and papers. So the security part was not complex for us to elaborate, to create a post-quantum system that allowed to securely protect data and share it with your loved ones. The challenge was to make it simple, how to make it simple. And that's why we came with the idea of this image, where a picture from your holidays, from your cat, from your dog, from your family can be used in a secure way to protect and share this critical information, because at the end we are talking about assets, which is money, which is the future of your family, etc. So I will say this in summary: simplicity, security, and how to stand out and how to share this with your loved ones.
Absolutely. And then another word that is relevant for every one of you is trust. Each one of you comes with a different perspective. Kadena, Solflare, Secrets Vault. So for each one of you, I would like to understand, what does user trust mean for you? And I want to start again with Haf.
I think like if we even just step out of Web3, like user trust is always built by predictability and control. So when we're kind of building a blockchain that we want to scale, what's important for us is to be able to maintain like the core principles that are used in every single industry. So one of like the difficult parts about Web3 and Web3 wallets is sometimes we're asking people to sign things and they don't understand what they're signing. We're asking people to pay gas to do certain transactions, but they're already not holding the specific token needed to pay the gas. So then there's a lot of like messing around trying to get the funds just to do your transaction. So what we built out is a concept called like a gas station. So the way Kadena works is that gas is always predictable and low, and that's one thing we found our users really like. So we have gas stations, and our smart contract language is human readable as well. So when we're asking users to sign things, they understand what it is that they're signing. And what we've generally found is by having kind of two certain controls in place, like users feel safer, they understand what they're getting. And it's just a way for us to build trust as well. And then simply as well, like users trust systems that don't fail them. So if we can provide like scalability, security, and then predictability as well, it's something that will get people more comfortable, like, and have the ease of use in the industry.
Thank you for sharing, Haf. I'm also having a look at the same time that we are live in the webinar on the LinkedIn chat. There is already a question coming in. I will keep this for later. That's you guys, if you are listening now or watching, that you know we will have questions at the end if you have time. So, Tin, what is your take on that, on user trust?
Yeah, thank you. So obviously, user trust, I think, is the number one priority for any kind of product in Web3, especially in Web3 and in crypto, where people are still a bit of uncertain about how to actually use the whole ecosystem and how to use the product and how to interact with different dApps, platforms, dashboards, wallets, central exchanges, and so on. And there is a lot of fear when it comes to users of either being scammed or hacked or actually losing their funds and so on. So trust is definitely something that is very, very important to us. And the only way of doing that and building the user trust, I think, is being 100% transparent with the users, with the community, with our supporters. So basically, whenever we have a new feature or a new product, or there is some changes and so on, in, for example, fees or how we do things or what we develop, it's key to communicate that, as I said, transparently with users and make them feel secure at any point in time. So I think that Solflare now, and being the first Solana wallet, and now we have like a 5-year long journey on Solana, I think that we already have a pretty good trust when it comes to our users, but also new users who are coming in the whole ecosystem. But of course, building that trust even further, I think that it takes a lot of education and educational content to actually educate people on how to use the whole ecosystem and this whole self-custody aspect of things when it comes to handling their finances inside of the as I said, crypto ecosystem. So trust is definitely the most important thing for us to have from our users. And but of course, there is a, like I would say, split split responsibility between us and the user, because in this ecosystem, when you talk about self-custody, you do have a certain responsibilities that simply lie on you as a user, and that is of course taking care of your assets, taking care of your seed phrases, taking care of your wallets, and so on. So as I said, we need to educate people more in that sense, for them to be able to feel 100% secure, but also trust us as a product which they're using for that self custody moment that they're all seeking to get.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Tin. Also, wise words. Gerard, what does user trust means for you and for Secrets Vault?
Well, for us, is not important. It's everything. We are selling safe, secure backup of super important information. So if we don't achieve the trust from the people, if they don't trust our advanced cryptography or credentials, etc., we basically fail. If somebody hack our system, which has never happened, and we expect never to happen, but some information was leaked out, we will basically fail. So that's why it's very important for us not just to have built a very secure system with post-quantum cryptography that we can explain later based on the question from LinkedIn, but we need to show it. We need to show transparency. We need to explain how it works. We need to show that third parties that are not just us had a look, certified the system, audited the system, etc. But we have seen is that it takes time to win. In fact, we are doing a lot of effort like this webinar to share the information. But I remember at one point that somebody even called us scammers because we were promoting a different way to back up data, and they didn't even have a look at our website, but they considered that we were probably scammers, and they didn't have a look at the details of how we do things. Okay. One thing that I wanted to use this webinar also to announce is that, and this is maybe something new for you also, Yuri, that we are so convinced about our security and that we will launch in the coming weeks a challenge for the community where we will have one secret protected by your platform. And the first person that either completes the challenge, which is linked to finding the right images to unblock the secret, or somebody that breaks into the system and impacts your security, they will win one ether. So we will explain this in the coming weeks, but that's another way to show that we want to earn the trust from the people, and we are so convinced about our security that we will put a big stake for us in our stage of a company to demonstrate this.
Well, one each they can win. That's already a nice prize, I would say. Really motivating for people, I guess.
We are not in the size to offer one Bitcoin yet. Maybe in the future. Now,
Yeah, so you're really like confident about the solution, but yeah, obviously. So if people now hear this, I think it's actually how do you call it? It's the first time that you say it. So it's the first announcement of this. So guys, so you see, you need to watch these LinkedIn lives, these webinars, because there is sometimes a real golden nugget or a news that you can get here. Talking about coming back to the report, and I see the time flies. We're getting questions too, so let's try to give as much value here in this webinar, in this LinkedIn Live as we can. But out of the report came a quote that said that 68% of users fear of being hacked, and 74% still rely on paper backups. So, does the panel have any thoughts on that? And do you have any thoughts on that?
I can go. I think it's just a design failure. I think people have no choice but to rely on paper backups because they don't trust their memory. Like, even for me, I have like 7 different wallets. And if I had to remember every single seed phase, I'll end up mixing them up. Or I don't know, something could happen. I could lose my memory and I lose everything. And then the other second side of the issue is people also don't trust storing it on their phones anymore, because a while ago, like, many people would just screenshot, and hackers, I guess, caught on to this. And there was like a point where they were like releasing fake apps on the App Store, or they had all of these tactics where they could then go through people's images and they were specifically looking for seed phrases. So the issue we have is that people are just resorting to paper because better tools don't exist. And also, paper feels real and paper feels like it's something you can guard. And it's probably feels a lot safer to people than their phone, for instance. I think what we need to do as builders is be able to replace paper with something that feels like more reassuring. I think in an ideal scenario, all of this can be stored online or on the cloud, but we just need to have like better guardrails. Like my friend was telling me something funny. He also doesn't feel safe storing his like seed phrase on his phone. So he has like pictures around his house, and like each picture is like 3 words from the seed phrase, because he also doesn't feel safe storing it on paper. So he was like, even if someone like came to his house, they won't understand like which picture frame, what the picture frame like relates to. But he was like, when he needs his seed phrase, it's all there. I've also heard like stories of people getting like metal plates and like kind of putting their seed phrase into that. So I think people right now have to come up with their own innovations to be able to like store the important information that governs the wallet. I think we just need to, as an industry, find a solution that works for everyone, is easy, but it is also safe and doesn't open them up to like hackers or like a piece of paper going missing or something.
So yeah, of course, I know Gerard, this is right up your alley. But before I go to you, I also want to have the thoughts from Tin.
Yeah, of course. I would 100% agree with these statements. Obviously, people are, me included, are not feeling safe of storing their seed phrases in any sort of digital form. So either is it online or not, or is it maybe even on a laptop that it's not ever connected to the internet or whatever. But it just doesn't feel safe, to have your seed phrase in a digital form. So I also have my seed phrases put down on a paper. I even have a friend who tattooed his seed phrase on the inner part of his arm to never lose it and to always be by his side. And then I was like, okay, but if people ever ever hear about your portfolio, they will kidnap you. So that was also a funny thing. But also I've heard of course, of people storing their seed phrases in multiple locations. So because if they have like a seed phrase written on paper, and then I was like, okay, but what if your house burns down? Like, what is there's a fire? Oh, you're right. And then then they have their seed phrase at their parents' house, but also where they live with their wife, and they're also another one stored with their godfather. So yeah, I think that there certainly is like a missing product here, or something that can solve this paranoia that we all have and share when it comes to storing our seed phrases. And of course that whole moment of losing everything if you actually lose your seed phrase and you lose the access to your main wallet or your main wallets. So yes, I would 100% agree that I would even expect more of people when it comes to this report in percentages to be afraid of
Yeah.
actually, losing their seed phrase, or in the way in which they are storing their seed phrases. So yes, it's an ongoing struggle and ongoing problem, I would say, for especially newcomers, which are yet to be onboarded to crypto and understand crypto as such, and of course then understanding their own security. But if you Google like crypto or whatever, everything you see is like scam this, scam that, hack this, hack that, wallet drainers, wallet being drained from another platform or user, and so on. So obviously it's natural for people to feel unsecure and scared of basically everything. So yeah, it's a challenge, but as I said, with proper education, I think that we can definitely tackle this problem. And obviously are missing, as I said, the product, or basically the protocols in which we can also store our seed phrases in a digital form without feeling afraid.
Thank you, Tin. Now, Gerard, of course, it's Secrets Vault who did the research about the report. So I'm also curious, of course, what you have to say about this.
Yeah, but I will need to concentrate. I could be talking 1 hour just about this topic. So let me summarize. So, well, the question is very interesting. At the end, people have been told that the best way to protect a wallet is to keep it offline as much as possible, right? So if you are offline, you don't get malware, all these drainers, etc. tools impacting you, and or use a hardware wallet. But it has collateral effects because this only protects you versus hacking. But you need to keep a backup of your seed phrase or your wallet. Tattooing it on your arm maybe is not the best way because you can change your wallet and then you need to change your tattoo. And as you say, Tim, you can be kidnapped, right? And obviously, the best solution at the time was good. Do it offline. Put it on a paper or on a metal plate. And this is much better than what we found in the report. I think 7% they don't remember where they write down their seed phrase, and 21% took a picture of it. Taking a picture is very bad idea. There is a lot of malware just scanning your computers for getting your files with your seed phrases. Maybe a picture, or it may be something that the wallet exported. It was protected by some password and it's easily broken, right? So better to have a paper copy than nothing or a picture. But it has its limitations, and you have enjoyed this. Personally, I enjoyed some of these situations. You can lose them, they can be robbed because you have something physical at home. They can be damaged. Even the metal plates, some metal plates have been damaged by fire. There was a big flooding in Spain a few months ago, and a lot of things, were removed from a lot of houses. You can miswrite your seed phrase. So then, oh, what was wrong? Or I have a case from one of our users that the dog ate the notepad, really. They had a list of seed phrases and passwords in a paper notepad, and the dog playing with it till it apart. So this is real. And one thing that also we discovered that is not just some people, the misconception of some people is that hardware wallets provide this backup protection. That's false. If you lose your hardware wallet is broken, is lost, etc., you don't have a backup. You are screwed, to don't say my French fuck up, sorry, with the situation. You need also some copy of your seed phrase. As Tim and as said, there was no simple maybe mechanism till recently. There are many options for having things online. You have very complex solutions where you select maybe some custodians, where you are giving access, splitting your keys with some people that you trust, that they should not know each other. But this for what I call degens or very technical people. This is not useful for my wife. Or we have solutions like the one we brought to the table, where you can back up online your seed phrase using post-quantum cryptography, but the encryption key and decryption key to access this information is based on a picture that I can share via WhatsApp with my wife in a very secure but simple way. And this is what we are seeing based on many customers that tell us what they are doing, but we don't know. We cannot see what they do. We don't see what they are protecting, but they ask that they are either storing seed phrases or pieces of the seed phrase. Maybe they store in different places half of the seed phrase, or they store hints to remember where they hide the seed phrase in some other place. So they are using a platform like ours to get a good hint of where the seed phrase can be hidden, or even part of the seed phrase or the whole seed phrase. Myself, I am trusting obviously my own product. So all my wallet, which I have more than 20, I am storing that in my product because it's very easy for me to get access later, to share it with my wife or my daughters, etc. if needed.
Let me unmute myself again. Yes, thank you for sharing, Gerard. Indeed, it's a whole problem, and it's really good that you guys have been thinking and by building a solution for that. There is really a need for that. Now, another thing you already mentioned is lots of users, like power users like us. We have multiple wallets And of course, people with multiple wallets are maybe sometimes riskier, have riskier strategies. So I want to go to Haf again. How do we make multi-wallet management safer without friction?
So if we look at kind of how it's done in Web 2, like you have an option, at least UK banks, where you can combine your accounts from all your banks and you can kind of aggregate all your funds. I think we need to follow like the same journey. We need like some form of smart abstraction. I think allowing users to be able to like group their wallets together, tag them, even enforce like policy-based security. And then even have the option of like syncing even security across devices. I think one thing about power users is they don't mind the complexities. So where something might not be like user friendly enough or too complex for like a retail or a new user, the power users don't mind it. The only thing that really holds them back is not having enough visibility or not having enough security that what they're doing isn't putting them at risk. So I think with the power users, we less need to worry about abstracting the complexity, and we just need to be able to give them the right tools to be able to aggregate their information and then surface the risk and not add to it. So I think when we especially like if we look at most of the power users in the industry, they are like the more Web3 native ones. They are kind of the degens. They're the ones that will go try out a new ecosystem without like thinking twice about it. They're putting their funds in all these protocols that like retail users wouldn't even touch. So just kind of looking at that behavior, they just want options available for them to be able to self-serve even some of this stuff. So they want the option there, but what they just the biggest thing they worry about is security. And if we can solve for that, I don't think we'll have an issue building for power users. I just think for the future of the industry, the complexity is building for like the new users and the retail users. And that's where at that point we need to start then worrying about user experience and security and tooling as well.
Yeah, I think Tin also you will have a lot to say about this. So I'm curious to hear.
Yeah. Again, to some extent, obviously, I would agree. Because as I said, when we ran like a series of interviews with the people of Solana and power users, but also with normies or with people who are yet or are currently being onboarded to crypto. Yeah, like they only have like one or maybe two wallets, so they don't need to manage a lot of wallets. And power users who have up to 50 wallets, they simply don't care. Like they simply don't feel the benefit of having like a wallet manager product, something. And in the end of the interview, where we asked, okay, if you had like a magic wand and you could produce any kind of feature or a new product inside of the wallet, what would it be? And none of the answers were related to better wallet management, because I think that power users are used to having like their, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 main wallets, and then having like 30, 40 hot wallets that they use for meme coin trading, airdrops, being in the trenches and doing all of the degen stuff that they're doing. So yeah, I think that simply power users don't care enough for that wallet management thing. At least, as I said, from the interviews and the feedback that we got from the power users. And non-power users simply don't have that much wallets to begin with to actually benefit from a product like a wallet manager. So that's something that we got, as I said, from a feedback from our users. But we actually do have something in our pipeline that might help users to better organize their wallets and basically have easier way to use wallets when it comes to doing and basically connecting their wallets to other platforms and so on. But something in a direction, as it was mentioned, maybe of going that Web 2 route that is currently has shown as a successful one for users in Web 2. So discovering or trying to explore all other possibilities when it comes to wallet management is of course something that we would like to do, but currently, as I said, I don't see this as maybe as a priority for power users to fix, because there are a lot of other things that first need to be fixed before wallet management side of things.
Okay, thank you, Tin. Gerard, do you want to add something to this topic?
Sure. So I think, not talking about features, but about people, or at least myself, I think that what we need to do when we have multiple wallets is to be organized, as we will do if we manage multiple bank accounts or investments, etc. So it's very important that you plan well ahead. Which are my hot wallets where I will do, I don't know, play, or I will do some gaming, or I will do some DeFi? Which are the ones that I'm investing and I want to keep holding for many years? Then which ones needs to be simple to use, even if they are a bit less secure than others where I want maximum security because they will be holding my bitcoins for 20 years, right? Then something that comes from my background in cybersecurity that is easy to say, but not everyone has the same common sense. Apply common sense. Don't visit odd places. Don't connect your wallets to protocols that promise a lot of things. If it's too good to be real, don't believe on that. Don't click on suspicious links that you get. Don't download movies, etc., from computers where you're operating with your wallets. At the end, these are the typical tricks that the bad guys are using to be able to hack into your wallets and to steal your well-deserved assets, right? And obviously, you need to define. You have more than 2, 3 wallets. You need to define a good backup strategy for your wallets. Where are your seed phrase store? Do you have one copy, 2 copies? Do you have it in different places? Who has access, who doesn't have access? Especially, as I mentioned before, my wife doesn't come from Web3. She has almost no clue on this. So I had to put a very clear instructions, very clear guidelines, or where they can find, how they can find information, or what they can do with it. And again, I use in this case, after several years of failing with notebooks, physical stuff, etc., I put instructions, the information in secret vault. They have access, and now I sleep more. I can rest better. Let's say if I am hit by a bus tomorrow, I know that my family can access this information, which is part of our wealth of the family, and I know that they will manage. Now I can rest easily. I sleep better. Let's say.
Awesome. Well, a lot of inspiration in this panel, a lot of golden nuggets. So now I have a few individual questions for you guys. You can, of course, interact with each other. There is also a question on the LinkedIn chat, Gerard, that I will keep for you for later. Specifically now a question for Haf. Haf, in the report shows our users want... let's say differently. The report shows users want both full self-custody, but they also want the convenience, right? So how does this work in the Kadena ecosystem? Can we reconcile those, or is it actually too much to ask to combine those?
Yeah, we genuinely don't believe it's too much to ask. And what we're trying to do is build for a future where we're hiding the hard parts and we're letting users maintain full ownership. So we have a product called SpireKey. And SpireKey is like amazing because we looked at kind of how Web2 financial systems work, and we looked at the benefits users get from kind of Web3, which is the self-custody. And effectively what SpireKey is allows you to have your own wallet, but now the whole wallet is guarded by your phone biometrics. So I can literally use my phone, I can do my Face ID, and now I can access my wallet. And it's just a safer option we found, or like a more accessible option for like less native users to be able to get the benefits of self-custody whilst also sticking with the current flows they're used to, which is like convenience, biometrics. They're able to kind of access the whole thing on the phone and they don't have to worry about like losing a piece of paper. So for like with SpireKey, we've built it in a way that anyone within the ecosystem can then take it and build on top of it. And likewise, if projects wanted, they could also use it outside of our ecosystem as well. We just think right now, like this is kind of very new tech, and there's always kind of like an adoption curve with people then taking and implementing these. But we do genuinely think like the future of the industry is going to be the merging of like Web2 finance and Web3 finance. And right now we're just in this kind of like sticky phase. So at least when we're like speaking to users or we're figuring out like what products we want to build next, we're trying to understand like what do people really enjoy from the traditional system and what are they enjoying from like Web3, and then how do we combine those. So with TradFi, there's just the ease of use. It's a tried and tested industry. What they're not able to get is self-custody. So if we combine all those elements, that's how we can like convert users to move over to the new ecosystem. If we're just replicating what they already have without adding an addition, which in this case is the self-custody, why would they like want to move over? So yeah, SpireKey is available now for developers to build on. And we also have like a $50 million grant program. So if anyone did want to build something really interesting, we'd love to see kind of grant applications come through for that as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't mention it, but I will do the same with this LinkedIn Live as with my podcast episodes. There will be an article, there will be show notes. So things that you guys mentioning today, I will put them in there. So feel free to do that. So next question is for Tin. As I mentioned, 3 million monthly users. That's a lot. So you are operating with Solflare at a scale where things backup failures can indeed happen. So it's really happening. So what do you or what did you learn from that scale, and that maybe the rest of the wallet ecosystem might be underestimating?
Yeah. So what we learned, I mean, the scale has been outstanding ever since our rebrand that happened in the beginning of this year, but also in the past year, I would say that scale has been exponential at some point. So obviously it was quite overwhelming, but managing the user expectations and of course trying to bring, as I said before, the best possible product for them is definitely a top priority. So when it comes to self-custody, which is our new way where we see Solflare in 5 years time, is that basically Solflare will become like your central hub for your financial independence, where everything that you need from a self-custody point of view you will have inside of the Solflare wallet. So we don't want, and that is this self-custody versus convenience part, where we want for users to have that convenience of using everything they need inside of our ecosystem, or basically inside of the wallet. So for example, the next big thing for us is Solflare cards, Solflare debit cards, where users will actually be able to use their funds, so basically their USDCs, but not be required to top up any third-party dashboard or apps and so on, or ever lose the custody over their funds. So basically, when you use your Solflare card, your funds will be directly spent from your wallet. And on top of that, we also integrated Netrunner, which allows you to calculate your taxes depending on the market or basically a country that you come from, all inside of the wallet. And of course, we also integrated Lulo, which provides you a better opportunities for lending and borrowing and staking of your stable coins and so on. But what we ultimately want to achieve, as I said, is a central financial hub for you to use, and basically for Solflare to become, let's say, the Revolut of Web3. So in the next, as I said, a few years, we definitely see Solflare becoming that. But of course, scaling that to that extent is definitely a challenge. And of course, with all of this security concerns from users and so on, it's definitely a barrier that we need to cross. But that's why we thought that community is something that is still very much underestimated by our competitors, because if you have community behind you, local communities, Web3 communities, OG communities from Solana and all other blockchains, you then basically have the support that you need when scaling up on that level. So yeah, we are trying to double on these community incentives, but also, as I said, which is very important, and I'm constantly repeating myself when it comes to that aspect of things, but that is education. So that's why we partner up with Grid Academy, which is an academy where you can stake your soul, do your lessons, and actually earn from a rewards pool in the end of the semester. We are now currently in the semester 2 of Grid Academy, where you can learn step by step and lesson by lesson how to connect your wallets to different kind of platforms and protocols, how you can lend, how you can borrow, how you can long and short your sol positions, and so on, and basically how you can safely use the whole ecosystem as such, and of course how to properly use and manage your wallets when it comes to storing your seed phrases, but also acting inside of the ecosystem as it is. As I said in the beginning, I think that users want that self-custody moment, but they simply don't realize that that also brings the responsibility of actually managing your wallets and your funds on your own to some extent, of course. But yeah, in Web 2, banks do everything for you. You simply, if you lose your card, you can go to the bank. You just need to authenticate your personality with your ID card or whatever, and you can then regain access over your funds. In Web3, it doesn't work that way because the whole self-custody moment is to cut out the middleman. So yeah, I would say that education and community are definitely something that is still underestimated at the moment. But of course, we are trying to tackle that problem with all of our campaigns and incentives and initiatives, and I think that we are on a right path.
Thank you so much for sharing, Tin. We are coming to the last 10 minutes of the panel. If people have questions, feel free to put them in the comments on LinkedIn or here on the webinar. If you see this replay, you can still comment. We will get back to you for that. There was one comment on LinkedIn, Gerard, that I want to share here. Maybe it's quite technical question, but I still want to give it to you. So how about post-quantum
It can be very
cryptography?
technical. No, and it's pretty open. But let's address. So, what is post-quantum cryptography? There is a lot of buzz about quantum computers, which leverage the properties of quantum physics to be able to compute complex mathematical operations in parallel very quickly. So many current cryptographic algorithms rely on mathematical functions or mathematical operations that, let's say, that they are easy to be done in one way, but very complex to be done backwards, like RSA for digital signature, right? Quantum computer breaks this, makes very simple to go in both directions. So the concern that many people has in the world, not just in crypto but generally, is that when these quantum computers are more available, more stable, etc., all this encryption will go to hell, and that's right, it will go to hell. Then what happens is that there is some hype now, but there are solutions already on its way. You can use algorithms that are complex even for quantum computers. So there is a new wave of cryptographic algorithms that support quantum computers, and this is what new designs are doing. And in fact, at Secrets Vault, since minute one, we work already on quantum computer algorithms, because if we are protecting data today and maybe in 20 years, they must be ready to support these quantum computers, whether they come in 1 year, in 5 years, or in 10. So that's a bit the situation, and I hope that I address these a bit open questions from the audience.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Gerard, of course, the discussion could go on for a long time. And I'm happy about this flow, even if it's morning. I think I like the energy. If you now would have this same panel that we're having today in 12 months. I know a lot is happening in the Web3, in the crypto sphere. What would you think that will have changed the most in, let's say, user behavior? And I will go to Haf first.
I think recovery needs to become like a shared responsibility. So if we want to see better adoption and the industry to mature, it shouldn't just be on the users, because we're kind of seeing that that isn't scalable long term, and it's the one part people don't like. So I think more wallets need to begin offering like social, multi-device, or even biometrics-based recovery. But the users can still maintain the level of control that we have. It's just we're supporting them in being able to like self custody better. I think if we can strike that balance, which I can see kind of a shift in the industry towards now anyway, I think that's what will take us to like a higher adoption stage. I think similarly as well, like account abstraction needs to become the norm. So users also don't need to worry about their keys. All they have to think about is access. And again, linking back to what I said earlier, like recovery should just feel like something as simple as like logging into an app, rather than having to solve like a complex puzzle or having to look through your house for like 4 hours trying to find a piece of paper. I think we just now need to design knowing that these things aren't working for mainstream users, and find like new ways of kind of merging safety but also like freedom together.
Thank you, Haf. Well, Tin, what do you think? What will, if we do the panel again in 12 months, what will have changed the most in user behavior?
Yeah, so if I had to like predict what would happen in 12 months, or on the other side, what I think or what I wish that we can talk about in 12 months are two separate things, obviously. If I had to predict, I honestly don't think that I can predict like 2 weeks in advance when it comes to Web3, because 1 week in Web3 feels like a year in Web2, of how things are changing and how fast the user behavior changes, especially from their expectations of money-making opportunities when it comes to trading, airdrops, NFTs, meme coins. I've seen it all in the past 5 years. So yes, if I would be very, very much afraid of predict how would users actually act, or what would they expect from products in 12 months time. But what I would like for them to achieve in those 12 months would definitely be that that education part of things, and of course security part of things, where I sincerely hope that we, through our incentives and initiatives, will be able to educate people more on how to use the whole Solana ecosystem safely and securely. So I'm honestly hoping then that in 12 months time I would be able to say, okay, more than 80% of our users are now fully educated, fully onboarded in a way that we think it's proper, and our products and features are actually helping them to achieve that feeling of security in the whole crypto ecosystem. So that is my wish. And of course, from a Solflare standpoint, I obviously, in a year's time, definitely see Solflare as that self-custody product that you need for your financial independence. And of course, for Solflare cards to be a great part of that self-custody journey. So yeah, that would be my answer, like prediction versus my wishes wise when it comes to that.
Thank you, Tin. Okay, Gerard, it's your turn.
I will do it very quickly. So I think that have has reason in the terms that for engaging new people, we need to simplify their life. And self-custody for many Web3 users, they don't care too much. They will go with account abstraction. They are giving away their self-custody, but they have a simple way to access systems for doing small things. But I also envision that these people, when they become more mature and more knowledgeable about the value of Web3, crypto, how they can be independent from the system, etc., they will move to the self-custody model. And this is where Team and Software and other wallets will have their space. And in that case is where education about how to protect, because you are responsible of your own assets. You cannot ask, hey, give me another password. That the education about security, how to manage things is very important. And I expect that in 12 months we will see more people aware of security, of self custody, of how to protect and back up their seed phrases, how there are solutions like Secrets Vault that simplify their life, and others maybe will come, and that will make, I guess, the system more, let's say, resilient to hackers and to bad guys that are trying to exploit the people, right? At the end, abuse people from their, and because they don't know all the things that they can suffer or do with in Web3.
Well, thank you, Gerard. Thank you, everyone. The time flew. It was a really interesting panel. Guys, if you have missed a part of it, like I said, there will be a replay, there will be an article, show notes, every link or everything that my guest mentioned, the panelists, will be found in there. Also for you, Haf, Tin, Gerard, if you want to share anything, you can send it to me. I will include it. Also, the link to the report, How Wallet Users Think, will still be available over there. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening today, for watching today. Thank you, Haf. Thank you, Tin. Thank you, Gerard. Guys, yeah, of course, we are here on the LinkedIn Live. It's a bit different than a podcast episode, but what I always say at the end is thank you so much. If you are not yet, I would say, aware of what Kadena is doing, what Solflare is doing, of what Secrets Vault is doing, be sure to check them out. If you don't know my podcast yet, Web3 CMO Stories, go find it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. There is a podcast episode with Gerard. There is one with a colleague of Haf from Kadena, Anneliese. Maybe, Tin, we will also have you in the near future. Who knows? So, guys, check out the podcast, subscribe, and stay connected here on LinkedIn because there will be more LinkedIn Lives. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.